Internet, radio. Nationalist news.
In Stoke-on-Trent, Councillor Gavin Webb has defected from the Lib-Dems to the Libertarian Party. Gavin Webb, elected councillor on Stoke-on-Trent City Council in 2007, was selected as the Liberal Democrat prospective parliamentary candidate for Burton in 2008. He said of the Lib-Dems, "The party, like the Conservative and Labour parties, has become a party of the establishment. It has unfortunately firmly wedded itself to the belief that there are primarily government solutions to the problems facing our country, and in the process they are adopting policies that undermine our rights and freedoms as individuals." The Libertarian Party chairman, Andrew Withers, said, "Whilst we have a number of parish and town councillors, Gavin is the first city councillor that has crossed the floor to a truly radical party, one that wants to change the relationship between the state and the individual to the point to where the state is subordinate to the will of the people and not the people subordinate to the will of the state."
News.
Baroness Scotland has sacked her housekeeper from Tonga because she was allegedly working in Britain illegally. The Attorney General employed the 27-year-old female for 6 months. Baroness Scotland was a Home Office minister when the laws were passed helped by her to fine bosses who illegally employ workers up to £10,000. Downing Street said Gordon Brown had full confidence in Baroness Scotland, who says she hired the illegal immigrant in good faith and thought she was entitled to work. It is understood Baroness Scotland's housekeeper arrived in Britain in 2003 on a temporary visa which has long since expired. This government says all small employers should be prosecuted if they don't know the immigration status of their employees, yet we have a senior minister who hasn't made the check herself. A spokesman for Baroness Scotland said she had never knowingly employed an illegal immigrant. The Baroness did, however, employ the migrant, and nothing can excuse her breaking the very law she helped to set up. Under the Immigration, Asylum and Nationality Act, employers who knowingly take on illegal workers face a 2-year imprisonment and an unlimited fine. Those who unknowingly take on illegal workers face a maximum of £10,000 fine. Keith Best of the Immigration Advisory Service said it meant employers had to comply with the border agency guidelines, including checking visas status on passports, and those who fail to do so can face a civil penalty of up to £10,000 per worker. Impossible of national insurance certificate in itself is insufficient to escape a civil penalty, he told the BBC. Tom Linden of the National Front said, "It is blatantly obvious that the Attorney General had got it badly wrong of the issue, and the National Front awaits the maximum fine of £10,000 being levied against her. Should this not happen, and to be honest, we know she will wiggle out of it, it will once again show how morally corrupt and self-seeking these people are."
Nationalist news.
The Daily Mail reported this week Labour's architect of the EU's Lisbon Treaty has warned it puts the future of democracy in Britain at stake. Former Health Commissar Gisela Stewart said the treaty breached fundamental democratic principles that voters can get rid of those in power. She said it would also allow the EU to launch future power grabs completely unchecked. Ms Stewart is a pro-European who sat on the committee which drew up the original EU constitution, later repackaged as the Lisbon Treaty. She said it would leave a huge democratic deficit if passed, leaving the EU's leaders accountable to no one. She said there would be no more treaties, no more referendums anywhere on EU integration. The treaty contains a ratchet clause, meaning the national veto can be scrapped one by one without the need for summits or referendums. Voters will also have no power to choose or remove the all-powerful EU President, who will be selected by EU leaders. Miss Stewart said, "My basic test of democracy is, can I get rid of them? By casting a vote, you can change the people who are in control of you. Lisbon does not give you, as a citizen, the means to control the executive or the politicians who decide on your behalf, and that's the hurdle it falls on. The nature of democracy is really at stake." Miss Stewart's comments will increase controversy ahead of the crunch Irish vote on October 2nd. Miss Stewart's comments will embarrass Labour, which broke its promise to hold a referendum on the EU Constitution.
News.
English Democrat Mayor Peter Davies has written to the Electoral Commission asking them to scrap 2/3 of Doncaster's 63 council seats in order to save the town £800,000 a year. They each get a basic salary of £12,590 and we have only 8 council meetings in a year. He wants to cut all non-jobs in his 13,500 workforce, such as platinum-pensioned community cohesion officers, and aims to shrivel future pay deals for council executives. Much as he likes his chief executive, Paul Hart, he says the £175,000 salary is a joke, and that any successor can expect half. Davies said, "Don't believe that stuff about having to pay the best to get the best. It's arrant nonsense. Look at what it did to the city." The newly elected mayor is in the process of de-twinning Doncaster from its 5 twin towns around the world. Twinning, he says, is all about free holidays for councillors and their staff. On taking the office, he was amazed to discover that the council had agreed to pay a £2,800 hotel bill during next month's St Leger Rates meeting at the local racecourse. He has scrapped all future funding for Doncaster's annual Gay Pride event, saying, "I am not a homophobe, but I don't see why council taxpayers should pay to celebrate anyone's sexuality." He has scrapped funding on the council's translation services on the grounds that people should be encouraged to learn English, and he has scrapped the word diversity from his list of cabinet portfolios. Going on about diversity causes racial tension and doesn't improve it, he says. The government has just admitted that gypsies should be given special treatment, and that only makes people angry. I want every citizen in Doncaster to be equal. The English Democrats meet this week at Brands Hatch for their annual conference from the 25th to the 27th. Tickets are available. Please go to their website.
Nationalist news.
The Conservative Party's new approach to local democracy, opening up Conservative candidate selection to anyone, including those who do not belong to the party, fell into discredit as the Bedford mayoral race was hijacked by Asians. The Asian community packed the open proceeding to ensure their Queen's Park candidate, Parvez Akhtar, was nominated. The Tories were accused of snubbing leader of the Conservative group Nicky Attenborough over the mayoral nomination, even though she had been standing in as mayor prior to this election. A claim was made by the former Bedford Borough Councillor Andrew McConnell. The Bedford Conservative Association offered the chance to stand as its mayoral candidate to all, even ordinary non-party members of the public. Bedford Borough Conservatives had published a leaflet advertising their move to open the selection of their candidate in a US-style primary to everybody, no matter who you vote for. The hijacking of the vote by the Asian community has been hushed up so as not to cause embarrassment to the Conservative Party. The vacancy for Mayor of Bedford has come about following the sudden death of the incumbent Mayor, Frank Branston. Nominations closed on the 18th. There were no nationalists in the running.
Nationalist news.